Hey, this is Ron with the Radiologic Technologist.com blog, YouTube channel, Instagram, everything else. There is a great question in our Facebook group. If you haven't been to our Facebook group yet, why not? It's over where are we at? We're over 6,000 texts, 7,000 texts. Um, it's the Radiologic Technologist group on Facebook. You do have to ask to join. I do check some things. Anyway, there's a young lady in there that posed a question yesterday that I felt deserved a video. Well, let's just get into it. She says, so I'm a current rad tech student. I will be graduating in February. However, I come across a couple job opportunities. I'm not sure of the best route to take. I am the type of tech that enjoys busy, floating, and different scenery. So already got some ideas there. You don't like the same mundane stuff. My main goal is to become a mammo tech. That's mundane. Hate to break it to you, but let's keep going. But I get it. I know a lot of women that do the mammo tech thing and they love it and they make a career out of it. So my main goal is become a mammo tech, but still do diagnostic, OR, and possibly CT. So diagnostic has your variability, OR has your unusualness because you never know what's going to happen in there, and it's a little bit of adrenaline because of all the cutting and blood and all that stuff. But you're on your feet all day, and possibly CT. Lots of changing stuff there. Can get mundane depending on your patient mix, but a very fast pace. That being said, so she's got some job offers already as a student. And that's a whole video topic all by itself. It's all about your clinical rotation is one giant job interview. So she's already got job offers as a student. That being said, offer number one, excuse me, is a PRN where I currentently do clinicals. So PRN means as Latin for I forget what that stands for, but it means as needed or as necessary. So it's not a full-time or even a part-time gig. It's just they call you when they need help. They are a multimodality facility, so I will have the opportunity to cross-train in CT as well as mammo. Now, you have the opportunity, but is it guaranteed? That's my very first question there. Just because they do it or they've done it in the past doesn't mean they're going to do it in the future or that they're going to choose you. So I know it's hard, but if you can get that in writing, it would mean a lot more because the fact that we're talking about staking your expertise and future time on a job, I mean, basically, you're going to pick one or two and kick the others to the curb. So you're dedicating yourself. And there's nothing worse, and I've seen it, nothing worse than dedicating yourself to a job that promises things and then doesn't deliver, and then you're stuck there. I mean, you're not stuck. You can always leave, but you may miss those other opportunities because you chose this one. So I would really think about that opportunity to cross train in CT as well as memo. What are some of the things you can do? You can ask them how often they do it. You can ask them how, like for example, um, there should be a mathematical equation on how busy you get in order to need another tech. That's to add a tech to the department. Then there's the attrition or when techs retire, quit, get fired, go to another job, and therefore you need another tech. You can see as an administrator, you can see down the road on those. You should know. I mean, I can always kind of tell. I got a tech who's 65, 68, whatever. They're starting to talk about retiring and that kind of thing. You start pre-planning that as best you can. And cross training requires pre-planning. The last thing you want to do is wait till somebody quits. Well, I mean, quit, you kind of don't have a lot of, well, so you can actually plan for people who quit because you start training somebody else before you absolutely need a tech. And then that way, when something happens, you can slide them right in. You can train a tech in another modality and then fill them in on holidays and when people are sick and on vacation and help keep their skills up that way so that when somebody does quit or move on or get fired or whatever, you have somebody to slide right in there and you're ready to go. Um, so the cross training thing, so you can ask how often you do it. How do you do it, for example? Do they just pick who they want to cross train? Is it just whoever's next in line, which is kind of a squishy thing? That can also change when management changes. If the current director, is a big cross trainer, so you go work there for that reason, and then that person leaves, which look at their LinkedIn history. I'm a big proponent of checking out a facility before you go work there by looking at the LinkedIn profiles of all the CEO, CFO, COO, CMO, the radiology director, whoever that person reports to. If you see on their LinkedIn profile that they change every 2 years or every year and a half or something like that, you probably ought to bank on the fact that they're going to do it again in the next 2 years. So cross training is a beautiful thing, and it's something to aspire to and keep your eye on, but it's hardly ever guaranteed. So when you're making decisions like this based on cross training, you've got to account for all these things. So the other thing I did for cross training personally as a director is I made it an interview process with some weights. Like you couldn't have any write-ups in the past 24 months or 48 months. You got a little bit of point for seniority, so there was weight on seniority, but it wasn't a guaranteed that just because you've been there the longest, you're the next in line. There was an interview process that had other people on the department in the interview. So see how they do their cross training. Don't just mark up, they cross train. That's a plus. Find out how often, how they pick people. Is there any way to get it in an offer? You will be cross-trained within 3 years, something like that. So that's job number one. It's a PRN, which means no guaranteed hours. You might get to cross-train in CT and mammo. Same thing, same exact thing in mammo. You never know. There should be a process, et cetera, et cetera. Offer number two is the same hospital network, just a different location, also multimodality. It is a full-time position. CT is required, plus on-call 4 days a month. It is a busier site, but they do not do mammo at this location. So I don't know a lot of people that do CT and mammo. I'm just saying, because mammo, I got about 3 minutes. Mammo is usually off-site. It doesn't have to be, and there's a lot of hospitals that do mammo, but there's usually a women's clinic somewhere where they focus on the mammography, 3D breast tomos, the breast biopsy, stereotactics, probably some breast ultrasound, DEXA scanning, perhaps. That's slowly becoming its own beast. And I've even seen it outside of the radiology department. I've seen it handled by its own administrator with its own cost center, and it's a separate entity from radiology. So I would think about that desire. I mean, I get it, and I'm not saying it's not healthy, because if you like a modality, you like a modality, but it's hard to do CT and mammo. It's not hard. I mean, in reality, you could go be a full-time mammo tech and go help out in CT PRN, or you could be a full-time CT tech and go help out PRN and mammo, but you just don't see it very often. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up there. So this offer number two is the same hospital, different location. So it's offering CT, but you don't know CT yet. Are you saying that if you accept this offer, they are cross-training you? It's a guaranteed cross-training, or are you going to go work there as an X-ray tech and again wait your turn to get cross-trained into CT? Since you're saying it's a full-time CT position, I'm assuming it's an open position. So this one has my vote so far, because CT is going to pay you a little bit more. The faster you can jump to the next modality, the better off you'll be, because one, you'll obviously make more money, and two, you'll start to experience different modalities and learn what you like and don't like. You may get into CT in a year or two down the road, decide you don't like it, and then it's off to MR or off to mammo from there. Or maybe you go back to school for ultrasound or nuke med or something. But and you can do the CT position, offer number two, while you do the PRN at the first one. You can do 312s, because you don't say the schedule here. You could do 312s CT in offer number two and take PRN the rest of the time. You just have to be careful with the 4 days of call a month, but that's normal too. Don't let that scare you. You want call when you're fresh out of school and you need to make that money to pay back student loans, or buy your first house or whatever you're doing, scarf up that on-call pay. And I was a call whore. I took it all. I took it at multiple facilities at the same time. So I'm going to cut this here and come back in just a little bit to talk about job number 3, and we'll go from there. So far, so good. Where's my stop button? Right there. And I'm back. Had to take an online meeting real quick, but we're talking about Anna's job opportunity. So we went through the first 2. And the reason I'm doing this video, because I just went back and watched that first part before I jump back in again. And the reason I'm doing this video is because you guys who are students especially, but even you techs that are going through these things, changing jobs, changing modalities, should I do this, should I do that? I have a perspective from 10 plus years in management that's a little bit different than the perspective of being a student or a rad tech, right? I'm just trying to share with you a little bit of my experience for being a tech for a long time, and from the side of the things that I know for management about cross training and the best way to cross train and how to pick people and things like that. And so anyway, let's get going back. So job offer number 2 we talked about that had CTs required plus 4 days of call. I guess it was just the 2. I'm so scared to make the wrong decision. I guess my question is, would I be limiting myself as a tech to take a PRN position over a full-time straight out of school? First of all, I know a lot of people do both. I did both. And there's a lot of people that have to do both when you graduate. And by both, I mean a PRN or multiple jobs, because sometimes there's not any full-time jobs open. See, from a management perspective, the most, and what you learn as a tech is the most sought after jobs, and that doesn't mean it's what you want, but the most sought after jobs are the 8 to 5s, Monday through Friday. A lot of people like that traditional schedule, evenings off, weekends off, blah blah blah. And so those people, those day shifters, stay in there forever, and they never leave. And so people on second and third shift that would like to get up the day shift have to wait their turn, so to speak. And so where was I going with that? Oh, so so sometimes you have to take PRNs, like 2 PRN gigs at 2 different hospitals just to make full-time wages, or 3 PRN or a full-time and a PRN or a part. So from a management perspective, as day shift retires or leaves for whatever reason, you tend to move in, second or third shift into that position. And then that creates a third shift spot usually, because that's the least desired. I loved it. That's where I thrive. But then as a director or a manager, you have to figure out how to fill that night shift position, because that's the way the attrition works. The cycle works. Your day shift leaves, second shift moves to first, third moves to second, and then you got a third spot open, and you got to hire for that. And then it just continues to cycle like that. So you're not limiting yourself by taking, well, you're only limiting yourself if you have to pick one over the other. I mean, consider both, really. Why not take the full-time CT position? I mean, I guess that's my ultimate suggestion, is take the full-time CT position, learn that modality, because they're going to have to train you if it's required. Learn CT, get a bump in pay, take the on-call at that higher pay. I mean, your standby pay is going to be $2 or $3 an hour, but your callback pay is going to be bumped because your salary is going to go up when you become a licensed CT tech. That's another caveat. At least the way I did it, and a lot of places, they don't pay you the advanced modality rate until you are licensed at that modality. So you may cross train into CT and even be running shifts doing the CT because your X-ray license covers that, but you're not going to get paid as a CT tech until you are a licensed CT tech. And that's also an incentive that the employer holds back to make sure you get licensed. Is I'm not going to pay you the CT wages until you get that CT license. So it encourages you to hurry up and get it done. So I would take the CT, get the training, get the license or certificate, really. I always call it a license. It's a certificate. License is state. Certificate is your modality from the ARRT. And then I would do PRN on the side and keep dipping your toe into that pond of that PRN gig. And maybe they'll still offer you mammo if you want to cross train. But I guess what I really wanted to get across in this video was that you're pretty heavy on the cross training. I want to make sure you understand that it's not a guarantee unless if they're hiring you for a full-time CT position, then they have to cross train you. Make sure you're having that conversation. You're a student now, so you clearly don't know CT. You're looking at a full-time CT position, and it sounds like they're offering to you, which means they're going to have to cross train you. And some of the questions behind that are, what am I going to get paid while I'm being trained? When do I get paid as a CT tech, which I just answered, but ask them how long of a schedule that is. Typically in my neighborhood, it's about a 3-month training process to learn how to do CT. MRIs like 6 months, IRs, 1 to 2 years. Mammo, it depends on how many exams you can get accomplished in a certain amount of time, volume. But that is what I would say based on the information you have given. And a lot of these comments, we're up to 15 now. No, 31. We're up to 31 comments on your question. So you've gotten a big array of answers from everybody. So I'm thinking at this point you have a lot of information to base your decision on. And that was the whole point of me creating this group, was so that people like us in the radiology field had a place to go to talk about these kind of things with people who know it. It's not just some bogus website that doesn't know what we do, that's just trying to get views so they get paid by an advertiser. You have 31 comments from rad techs and administrators and teachers. I think I saw a teacher in here. Um, do 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 do. And Rob is in there. Rob is a teacher. Frank's got good comment. I mean, there's a lot of good comments in here from people who really know their stuff. Anne's in here. She knows. I think Anne's got 30 years in and multimodality. So you've got comments in here from the creme de la creme. So hey, come back to us when you get to that point and tell us what you decided to do. And again, we're here to support you and help you make good decisions. And your first statement was, I need a little guidance. So there you go. You got 31-ish big brothers and sisters looking out for you, giving you their experience and their thoughts and comments. So I hope it helps. I'll stop blabbing. Have a great day.